Today we're going to look at operation strategy. This is going to cover almost every piece of the four functional areas of your business: your marketing, obviously operations, finances, and your human resources. Although those four sections, other than operations today, we are going to go into at a later time. So we've already covered marketing. Now we're going to do operations. We will do finances and human resources as annexes at a later period. So today we're going to look at operations. We're going to talk about your resources you have, so you may want to pull up some of your previous data to look at that. I would suggest having a map available and get your team together and fully go through each operation. Do the crawl, walk, run process of taking every step and seeing what is needed in every one of those sections, as far as for resources like your human resources, your finances, and the physical resources that you already have, to include machinery, and look at any future needs. So let's get started.
Now that we have finished your promotional section, just remember, your communication strategy should incorporate feedback elements to obtain information from customers. Regardless of the promotional strategy you pursue, you and your planning team will need to be creative to catch the attention of your customers and stretch your advertising dollars. Promotion, though seemingly overwhelming, should be fun. So today we move on to inventory and storage management, then operations strategy. Storage and inventory management are integral and important parts any business strategy, affecting product quality, marketing opportunities, and the business legal standing. While this may seem to be more of an operations issue, many marketing strategies may depend on whether or how long you can store your product. What role will inventory and storage management play in your business? Like traditional grain producers who use storage as a way to mitigate seasonal price declines, you might shape your storage strategy around marketing or to satisfy regulatory considerations. Certified organic producers, for example, must maintain detailed storage and harvest records in order to market their crops. Similarly, in accordance with the USDA pasteurized milk ordinance, producers are required to test all milk for traces of antibiotics, bacteria, and proper pasteurization once it has undergone this process. Think about your storage and inventory management objectives, then research your options. Now let's write down strategic marketing summary. Here is an example from one of my customers that you can refer to. Our primary marketing strategy is to target health-conscious, upper-middle-class families with young children and people who remember traditional foods. The consumer will perceive our products as being very different from the regular dairy products in the grocery stores. Our grass-fed cows produce higher amounts of omega-3 and conjugated linoleic acid in their milk than grain-fed cows. These two fatty acids fight cancer, promote lean muscle mass in humans, and have many other health benefits. Milk from our grass-fed cows will also be processed and marketed as non-homogenized or cream-top milk. We plan to package our milk in returnable bottles, either glass or plastic depending on costs. It is a common perception that milk in glass bottles stays colder, tastes better, is of higher quality, and has a nostalgic appeal to many customers. We are considering several distributional alternatives. 1. Home delivery. 2. Retail. 3. On-farm. 4. Farmers markets, and 5. Alliances. We expect that the first two distribution options will account for the bulk of our sales. By marketing locally, we hope to build name recognition, a loyal customer base, and dependable sales. Cost may clearly be a disadvantage with home delivery, both in terms of packaging and the need for additional marketing staff to make regular deliveries and communicate with individual customers. We will dominate the market for a number of years by being the first dairy to bottle milk from grass-fed cows in returnable containers. Review this summary with your planning team and compare it to your SWOT analysis to ensure you have captured all the important marketing strengths. Now it's time to start on your operations strategy. With a clear idea of who will buy your product and why, the next planning question you must answer is, how will we produce it? A detailed operations strategy, one that is clear to all involved in the operation, is necessary for sound management and is sometimes an institutional necessity. Organic producers, for example, are required to submit a detailed farm management plan when seeking certification each year. According to certification guidelines, the plan must describe all resource management strategies directed at improving soil fertility, controlling weeds, pests and disease, managing manure, and limiting erosion. In this section you will have the chance to develop a production management and operations strategy by answering questions about: what production management alternatives will you consider? What institutional requirements exist? What are your future physical resource needs? How will you fill physical resource gaps? How much can you produce? How will you store inventory and maintain product quality? Your choice of production system will be heavily influenced by your social, environmental and community values. This might be a good time to revisit your values and goals, and to recall your objectives for the whole farm. Each production system carries with it different resource requirements, production outcomes, labor demands and natural resource implications. As you define one or more production system strategies, try to be specific about how the system will work on your farm. If your vision includes a major change in production, think about the resource requirements and the trade-offs between labor, productivity, conservation and profitability that may be associated with different production management systems. If you plan to produce crops or livestock, for instance, detail your plans for weed, pest and disease control, soil fertility, planned grazing, tillage, irrigation if available, water quality, reseeding seed selection, breed selection, fencing needs and type, feed, grass-fed, grass-finished or grain-finished, shelter, stocking rate, waste management and quality control. Similarly, if you plan to process or offer a service, the systems component of your plan might address your business strategy for workshops or on-farm consultations. There are many resources that describe traditional and, increasingly, alternative production systems. Most universities have published research studies on reduced input, organic and livestock grazing systems. Two excellent publications are the Holistic Management Book and associated workbooks by Alan Savory, Grazing Systems Planning Guide and Making the Transition to Sustainable Farming. Most importantly, talk with other farmers, learn from their mistakes and their successes. Once you have identified one or more production system strategies, think about how management within each system may change over time, from season to season or from year to year. For instance, how might your livestock management change as you transition from a system of confined farrowing to pasture farrowing for hogs, or from summer grazing to winter feeding for cattle if you plan to seasonally graze? Similarly, think about your annual crop rotation schedule, weekly vegetable harvesting schedule, or daily farm tour schedule. This type of detailed operations planning is critical for any business. It can help you estimate physical and labor resource needs and production potential, as well as cash flow projections. And in many cases, detailed production schedules may be necessary for institutional compliance. If you plan to make a gradual transition over time, either from one system to another or through the addition of new enterprises, map out a short-term production plan and descriptions for each phase of the transition. Discuss your schedule with experienced farmers, planning team members, and consultants to determine if your production system and overall schedule are realistic. Another important research subject is regulations and policies. What requirements will impact your production? Like it or not, if you are going to operate a retail business, process on your farm, or greatly expand livestock production, you will run into local zoning, permitting, licensing and regulatory issues. Regulations can have a major impact on your production and operations plans as well as on startup costs. The type of permits or licenses required for your business will depend on where you are in the business life cycle, whether you are just starting up or growing your business, where you live, what type of product you offer, and the overall size of your operation. Therefore, before going too far with your operations research, it's a good idea to check with your state small business association as well as your local or county regulators to learn about environmental, construction, finance, bonding and product safety regulations. For instance, in Minnesota, a guide to starting a business in Minnesota lists all necessary state permits and licenses as well as informational contacts. Moreover, if you plan to produce, process or market organic crops, you will need to conduct thorough research about national and international certification requirements. You should contact your state Department of Agriculture for information about the new federal organic certification program. Next, determine whether or not you will be able to meet legal requirements. Discuss your ideas with planning team members and outside consultants, such as an attorney, when appropriate.